All eyes were on the top two today. Liverpool went first and won 2-0 at home to Watford. They went top. Then it was over to Manchester City, and Pep Guardiola's side have done exactly the same. 2-0 away at Burnley. Spurs have the opportunity to go level on points with Arsenal if they beat Newcastle tomorrow. And today, in the remaining game, Manchester United can go above Spurs if they beat 10th place Leicester at Old Trafford. We've seen all three, and the bottoms three in action today. Norwich with a point, up to 18 points. Burnley and Watford losing as you were. But as you can see, Watford have now played 3 games more than Everton. Burnley have played a game more than Everton. A reminder that they have to play each other. Watford against Everton, Burnley, Watford and Burnley, Everton are all fixtures still to be played. Leeds get a point. They're 8 clear of Watford, having played a game more.
Pep, that must be one of the Saturday afternoons that you quite enjoy, when you can sit and watch your team being comfortable and composed out on the pitch with all the pressure that may have been on your team coming into this one today.
Well, we can handle this pressure. So we have many years playing this type of games, like in and out. And we score early on, so that helped us. That helped us a lot. But always here, the game is never end until you score the third or the fourth, because long balls, and second, they are good in that. But in general, we control the pitch was so difficult because it was so high, the grass, no water, and everything was so slow, and for our process was a little bit difficult. But we adapt as always well, and we won the game.
When you come up against challenges like that, as well as what happened earlier today, and you knew that you had to win to go back on top, how important is that mentality and that patience within your players?
But it's going to happen. So the next games, except the next Premier League game, we're going to play against Liverpool. The rest, always they are going to play before to put us pressure. So we know they are going to play. Hopefully not the next one, but almost all the games, and we have to do the same. So we live this experience. Now 8 games left, and just now rest and prepare Atletico Madrid, and after Liverpool.
It's very hard to pick one player out of your team, but Raheem Sterling with a goal in the FA Cup, a goal on his international duty, the captain's armband for England, and another incredibly good performance today. He looks like he's playing again with a freedom, with a smile on his face.
Yeah, he was that's the truth. So I think Raheem, when he came back for the national team, always is in an incredible mood, because he feels he's so important, and he's so important here too. So what this guy has done this 5 years, 6 since together, so numbers, and never injured, can play every 3 days, like Riyad Mahrez. So they play consistent, and in the decisive part of the season, have this Raheem is so important for us.
Lots of options for you. Like you say, you've been in this situation before. Your players have been in this situation before. You know how to win trophies. Does it get easier with experience?
But people say the experience because you are old, and the experience, it works if you get good lessons of this experience. But you can have experience, but you don't learn anything. This is not experience. This is nothing. What they have done in the past doesn't mean it's going to happen this time. So nobody knows. But we know we have to play with a lot of pressure for the fact if we lose, we are out. So it's simple as that. So do whatever you want, but if we lose, we are not going to win. So, and every game is going to be like this. So 8 games, you want to win, you have to make 24 points. You have to finish with 97. Otherwise, we will not be champion. And we're going to play these games like with this target, and we're going to try.
And that is why you come to teams like Manchester City, isn't it? This is what you enjoy.
Listen, I said in the press conference yesterday, so when you arrive in April, May, challenging to lift the titles is because you have done an incredible season. The big clubs, the men arrive at the end, it chances. After you win or win, can happen because the opponents are good too. So and we have to accept it. But being here is because we work a lot. And the credit is after 5 seasons doing that, every single season. And when that's happened, there's a lot of credit for all organization that we have. And we're going to fight. We're going to fight. The opponent It's so tough, but it's so good. But they said we're going to make a proper battle. Okay, we accept it. We're going to make a proper battle too.
Sean, you knew it was going to be a tough test today. How do you reflect on the performance?
Well, you certainly don't want to give early goals away, particularly when we've forgone a centre forward for a midfield player. Because you want to keep it tight early in the game. That was the game plan, and then see how the game opens up really, and then see the feel of the game and see if we can get a foothold in it. And we didn't. 5 minutes in, they anticipate they play way better than us. One goes overhead, we're sort of ball watching a bit, gets knocked down. A fine finish from two fine players, it must be said, De Bruyne and Sterling. And then the second goal, very similar. But that's what you forget. Man City, the prowess of some of these players. Sterling, I think, is a top player. Fantastic 1-2, and they arrive in the second 6-yard box or just behind that when our midfield don't quite get back in and cover them spaces. And that's what Man City can do to you. Yeah,
they were very, very clinical in that first half. It had a lot of the ball. When you go in at half-time, how do you try? You obviously made the change at half-time, but how do you try and bring some calmness back to your side?
Well, it's more about taking on the games that come in front of you at that stage, because I said to the players, I said, look, don't worry about this. We need to get back to what we're about. We've had 3 weeks off. It's been a real tough time for some of the players. Been waiting for another game to come around. And I thought second half we did. I thought there were some pockets of play. We tried to affect the game. Our record for penalties is awful, but if James Tarkowski gets brought down in the box, I think if that's a smaller player, a lighter player, a centre forward, I think that probably gets given. We don't get that one. Might give us a little lifeline, a little maybe. But they're a top side, so I've got no qualms about the result. Our second half performance was better. We look more productive and more like ourselves, and that's important going forwards.
There was that one big chance right towards the end when Ashley Barnes was through and tried to play it into Cornet. That's the kind of troubles that there have been in front of goal, isn't it? How do you try and get that clinical edge back when you get those opportunities to try and make them count? Yeah, it might have been just offside, I think, but I get your point. We have done that too much this season. We created chances, not so many today, of course, against the top side, but that is the difference sometimes. I think in the first half, I think they had 3 efforts at goal and scored 2. That is often the difference, the level of the player they bring in for the money they bring them in for, and a team full of them. They're a top player, top side. We've had enough chances this season to be in a better position than we've been, but we've still got 10 games left and we're still in with the fight. I know there's never any panic in your dressing room at all. You've got 2 huge games coming up in the next 2. That will potentially define your season more than today will. How do you galvanise your squad and go out there and try and get the wins in the games that really, really matter? To be honest, it's to where we are now we've defined our season so far. It's about what we do from now. That's the key. We've got 10 games, 10 efforts at getting ourselves corrected and getting ourselves in the right place. So defining our season has been what's been done. Now we've got to correct it and move forwards.
So Manchester City began the day on top, then they were knocked off by Liverpool. They're back on top, courtesy of those 2 goals, Sean, at Turf Moor in the first half, in a very professional first half.
Yeah, it was a very professional first half. I think Sean Dyche made, I would say, a little error in the way he set up, but this goal here, Sterling was in tantalising form all the way through the game, and that setback for De Bruyne, as we saw at half time, it was a great finish the way he just followed through with the ball and guided it into the top corner. But City was just professional, dominating the game as we know, and here we see the goal again where Sterling just drops it back, and he just, great technique where he just puts it in the corner again. But they've been in great form in general in that throughout that game, and they just didn't take any more chances. But I think Burnley came back in the second half and played really, really well.
Yeah, I think this was the killer goal as far as Burnley were concerned. 1-2 is very difficult to deal with. Sterling, we know he can beat players, we know he's got pace, but the ball travels faster than man, and he's used the ball there. It's great 1-2. 2 assists for him on the day. Gundogan, it was a good strike, good connection. Not an easy ball to control, but it does help with that little deflection that takes it wide of Pope, and that was, as I say, the killer blow for Burnley. They couldn't quite get into it after that.
Have we just seen today again, gents, what we already knew? We've got 2 mentality monsters here that are going to be near perfect.
Well, what we saw 3 years ago would suggest that they're going to go through the season just hammer and tong. But, of course, we all know they've got to play each other. Something's got to give next weekend. But apart from that, yeah, you've just got to say they're a class apart at the moment.